Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Black Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is from one of the best named hot sauce companies, Sauce Leopard. Official something. I can't quite make out what that says. But we have the Assgasher. I love the name of the sauce. This is one of the best names for a sauce. I hate this graphic, but I do like the name of the sauce. The graphic seems overly silly. So there's the logo. Awesome, awesome logo. Axe Slasher. Okay. The Unholy Union of Axe Slasher. I assume that is a band or something. And Sauce Leopard. A match made in hell. Eat pizza, listen to Axe Slasher. Okay, so if we're saying though that we want this on pizza, there's a story. There's a story. You know there's a story. I know there's a story. Let's just get to that. So literally the second I heard there was a sauce named this, I knew I was going to get it as long as it didn't have onions in it. I knew for a fact, because how could I not? This is just a delightful thing to call a sauce. And I actually wish that Sauce Leopard's sauces resonated with me more, because I really like Sauce Leopard is such a cool name. But and I've done a few of their other sauces as well. I don't think of them unkindly or not fondly or anything like that. I just always kind of wish they were a bit more revved up, a bit more resonant, I guess, with my particular palate. Anyway, so this one, like I said, as soon as I heard of this, yep, I'm definitely doing this. I am 100% doing this sauce as long as it doesn't have onions. And I looked and it didn't. So I said, all right, it's going on the list. And don't you know, there it sat for a really long time because of this sriracha. I'm still very, very tired of the sriracha flavor system. I still am to this day. I've just had so much of it. So this is a form of sauce that is very low in terms of my interest in doing another one of those for the most part. But, I mean, with a name like that, with a name like Assgasher, you know, it's got to be good, right? And it's an unholy union made in hell. I mean, how much more up my alley can you possibly get? So we've got red Fresnos, distilled vinegar, water, red bell peppers, habaneros, garlic, sugar, salt, brown sugar, and spices. So some of these things are not really in sriracha to that extent. So sriracha is usually red jalapenos, sugar, vinegar, garlic. And some of this other stuff, and probably salt as well, or MSG. Some of this other stuff, we're kind of getting away from here. Now, swapping red jalapenos for red Fresnos, fantastic idea. That's brilliant design right there. So when I opened this, I went, this is unusually runny. And I just so happened to be doing some stuff in the ETK, my experimental test kitchen. And you guys can check out guys, gals, chili heads or chili curious of all stripes and colors. Can certainly check that out in my community tab. That's where some of the pictures I put in there are. So I needed a sriracha anyway. And so I opened this up, and I was beyond pleased to discover that I don't find this particularly sriracha-like. starting with the consistency, it's way too loose. Like sriracha is much more of like it's closer to like a toothpaste consistency. Maybe not quite that thick, like maybe slightly a slightly thinner sort of toothpaste. This very clearly is a very liquidy type hot sauce. And in fact, actually, we ought to just get into the flavor right now. It is gorgeous, though. Look at this. This is such a beautiful color. Like, this is actually quite a good sauce. Like, this is done very, very well. But let's get into it. Unless I missed my guess, this is probably fresh garlic. There is a liveliness to this, a freshness to this. You definitely get the peppers. Habaneros are probably there more for heat, I would suspect. But this is not a particularly hot sauce. Most srirachas aren't. More than anything, this really does sort of remind me of like a really good Cajun style. That's how this reads to me. Definitely a lot more vinegary than most srirachas also tend to be. So I'm not upset in the slightest by that. Louisiana style is one of my favorites. Cajun style, an offshoot of that, I don't like as much, but I certainly won't turn my nose at it. Both of them sort of function in the same space. I don't find I need the additional garlic, but the way that the garlic is so fresh and lively here with this one, if it's well done, I can get behind it, and it is extremely well done here. All right, so I got me here a plate of calamari. And let's get a baseline here. It's unfortunately Italian calamari, but both sriracha and Cajun are meant to, they're not really meant to be food locked. Like I know I use sriracha in so many different ways. I mean, that's why I'm still burned out, and I just used it so many different ways and so frequently. I just got tired of it. Now, I will say I find this way too runny to be trying to put it on pizza. So that idea. Okay, perfect as a slice of pizza in a Bloody Mary around the seared flesh of your enemies. So, I assume Axe, I mean, it sounds like a metal band. I assume Axe Slasher is probably metal, or at least, you know, heavy rock. Maybe cannibalistic as well if they're eating their enemies. I guess when determining how to pair a sauce appropriately for the seared flesh of your enemies, it probably helps to know what sort of animal your enemy actually is. If your enemy is a fish, for instance, it will go a lot differently than if it is, say, a cow. Oh man, this is well, it is easily my favorite sauce from Sauce Leopard. This is probably one of the best Cajun style sauces. It'd be right near the top one or two. It is phenomenal. I mean, heat is a tad low, but if you're shooting for sriracha and you miss, and you hit Cajun instead. This is a phenomenal way of doing it. Just excellent. Great name, too. I don't like the graphic, though. It implies a lot of qualities, let's say, that would have to be true that I'm not, don't want to think about while I'm eating, for sure, but also don't want to think about in general. It is really good. This sauce is fantastic. It is clashing ever so slightly with the Italian breading here. But it's still quite good. I have tried this on, so sriracha, I mean, we all know the story, right? It's created by this Vietnamese dude. And is meant to be a very Asian style sauce. And to go with those dishes. But it is not locked into that. So, trying this one on the Asian foods. One thing that actual sriracha has that this one doesn't have, because of that sort of pasty nature that I mentioned before, sriracha tends to have a very sort of, a very notable, let's just say, a very notable density of flavor, which is absent here. But that is usually the case with Louisiana style and Cajun style. It doesn't necessarily mean that the flavor is going to read through with, especially a lot of the stronger Asian dishes. And that's why it's dense. In order to read through, it has to be. Well, with Louisiana and Cajun style sauces, what we have here is that the vinegar itself tends to be more the cutting agent, and then the flavors of a cayenne, or in this case a Fresno, with sort of a building amount of habanero, will ride the wave of cayenne in as it sort of cuts down like creamy sauces like a mac and cheese or Alfredo or something like that. So just two different approaches to modifying the foods, I guess. Well, maybe not modifying the foods so much as modifying the flavor profile of the foods. And so Asian food, I don't really want a intense vinegar hit. Most of the vinegars that are used in Asian style stuff tend to be milder ones, kind of like the rice wine vinegar and stuff, or the rice vinegar. So this one is definitely more abrasive along the lines of like a Cajun or Louisiana style. I can see it working well in a Bloody Mary. To me, it's way too loose. It's going to sog out the pizza if you put it on a pizza. It's if it was a little bit thicker, though, I don't think I would say that, but I had to agitate this quite a lot actually when I got it. I mean, it flows. It is a light. It's a fairly light sauce. It's pretty loose. So I don't know that I would put it there per se, but if you think more in terms of putting it with, like I said, where Louisiana style or Cajun style will go, in terms of how it did on the Asian style, like I said, it just didn't quite work, I guess, the way I was hoping and the way that I would have expected from a sriracha. And it's because, of that density issue, and as well the sort of vinegar part to it. The vinegar, one of the ways I was using this was to cook with it. And cooking is one of the nicer things you can do if you want to flash off some of that vinegar overtone, is to cook it. You can cook that right out and just kind of leave whatever's left, which is one of the reasons I say a lot of sauces are better as grill sauce, meaning you put them under heat on the grill, and what you're left with, whether it's through the Maillard effect or whatever, what you're left with is actually pretty tasty and it's better than the sauce out of the bottle. This one, I would say that is not true. I didn't think cooking with this worked particularly well. And like I said, it was okay splashed on after the fact, but it just had too much of a vinegar note, I think, ultimately, for me. So I would say it's not a sriracha sauce. Like I was saying, it's more the other way. But they can call it whatever they want. I don't mind if somebody calls something a sriracha sauce, and I don't think it lives up to that. I don't mind that at all, because like I said, I'm tired of sriracha sauces anyway. So, yeah, this is a marvel. This is something everybody that's interested in, like Louisiana style or Cajun style, even if you like, maybe especially if you like srirachas, this would be a good one to pick up, because it is not definitely like what you would say is a sort of strict sriracha style sauce, like, at all. It definitely veers away from that. But you can sort of, I guess, kind of get a vague, it's not completely distant, I guess I'll say. So, yeah, definitely this is a very, very, very well done sauce. And I'm going to need to go back and start looking through Sauce Leopard stuff again. It's kind of funny, like I have some stuff and I'm like, it's fine, whatever. And then I forget about Sauce Leopard for a while, and then I find something else and my ears perk up and I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll look through the lineup and throw stuff on the list. Now I need to do that again. This is now the third time I'm going to go through their lineup looking for more stuff, just because this is one of the more impressive sauces I've had definitely from them, but even in the world of Cajun style sauces. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Sauce Leopard, the Assgasher hot sauce. Number 4, in peace, to serve the flame.